Let's talk sports and extracurricular activities. Let's get back where we belong. So all sports, extracurricular activities, whether it's basket weaving, chess club, football, track and field, cross country, wrestling, you name it, band, any extracurricular activities are at the option of the local school board to provide to their community. They should listen to the stakeholders. They see value in providing these services, they should provide them. Pretty straightforward. Find a way, right? Find a way to make it safe. We got to protect the students and serve the community, right? Protect the students and save the community is my goals, right? They've been. How do you protect the students? How do you allow this to occur? And that's the goal of finding a way, right? We want to have the local control because we're a local government. There's state and federal governments. Local government can't violate a state rule or a federal rule, right? Can't do it. Can't violate the Constitution. You have to follow the rules. But within those rules, you can do a variety of things. For instance, when I coached, we might have only had a couple competitions throughout the year, depending on the level of involvement within the community for some of the sports that we were bringing into the school that wasn't there before. Boys volleyball, for instance, right? Female volleyball was already pretty well established for years in Pennsylvania, but boys volleyball was still a new sport in a lot of areas. So we had to find competitions. We had to work with it to be able to get to meet the state level so we could go to the state competitions. You find a way. And a lot of times you realize that it's the practice, whether it's chess or basket weaving or anything that you want to do, it's the practice, astronomy. It's the practice that takes place. It's that discipline of mind, body, and spirit that we look for in these extracurricular activities, right? They got to talk to the stakeholders. Last board meeting, we tried to get a survey done. They blocked it, right? Local control. The board of directors have this authority. They were given it by the stakeholders to collect and disperse taxes for these benefits, right? Every dollar collected, every dollar spent. Responsibility and authority of a local board. If you don't like your local board, you vote them out, right? You get rid of them. If they neglect their duty, you remove them from office through the Court of County Common Pleas, right? So let's talk abdication of authority. So when Wayne Wentz or Steve Holland or Larry Stern, right, abdicate their authority, circumvent local control, that's a failure, right? It's got to be fixed. Let's talk subordination. Who's responsible to listen to whom? And under what authority? Does the athletic director get to tell the board what he's going to and not going to do? Absolutely not. And does the governor get to tell a local school district what they're going to do? Absolutely not. He has none of that authority. Don't give him that authority, right? You can listen to his recommendation. He's an individual, just like any other individual. Do you listen to Walmart to tell us what to do? Should you listen to another corporation like the PIAA? I mean, you can join Sam's Club. You join Sam's Club and you follow their rules. You made a decision to join them. You can join the PIAA and follow their rules. If you don't like them, you can also quit the PIAA. They're a private corporation. Let's take a look at that. And then also, let's take a look at this government authority as to decide what we should and shouldn't do. And it's not my decision. It's the stakeholders, right? And then those make up the rules and structure for which these people, and then it's individually the parent's decision, the student's decision, right? Freedom in America to decide what they're going to be able to do and not do. And they choose. If we make a good structure that allows most of the people to participate, fantastic. That's our goal. But we can't risk safety in relationship to that. So we got to be able to talk to the parents. We got to talk to the students. We got to talk to the coaches, right? Our athletic directors, some of our employees that are subordinate to us. Let me get out of the picture here. I'll show you a couple things. See what you think. First one we want to show you, straight off the district website, school board. It's subordinate, superintendent, assistants, business managers, right? Staff. This is where your coaches and staff and all these people are underneath. They are subordinate to the board of directors. The board of directors run the show, right? There's no reason to let those other people make all the decisions. right? It's the board's responsibility. And the best part about the board is the board has to listen to the stakeholders. It's their obligation. It's their oath of office, right? Not available. So let's take a listen carefully now that you understand the state has no authority, right? Let's do this one first. We'll do
So, like, the biggest thing we're hearing about from people, everybody's concerned. We had viewers ask why Georgia was the example and not another state for when it comes to recommending not to have it.
I'm not sure that Georgia wasn't in my mind, and Pennsylvania has not made any directive. I was asked at the last press conference, I think 2 press conferences ago, what I thought about fall sports, and I said I would recommend that the schools don't start sports until January 1st. Now, my daughters went to the Northeastern York County High School through the public school system here in York County, and they were athletes. As a parent, now they've graduated, but the fall sport was cross country. And you'd think cross country must be one of those sports that you're the least likely to have a spread. But all of us parents would congregate at the finish line. Spectators, many as there were, congregated at the.
The reason this guy makes a recommendation is because he's just a person like anybody else. You don't have to listen to what he's saying in a recommendation. Local school board has that authority. And also the local school board in this situation he's talking about, tell them to stay 6 feet apart from each other and wear a mask.
Finish line, and that's a place for the virus to spread. I think what we ought to be focused on is trying to get our kids back to learning and to get an education. And anything we do that interferes with that in the short run, we ought to be careful about doing that. And so transporting people for whatever reason across county boundaries to congregate together for whatever reason, to the extent we do those things, whether it's a directive or a recommendation, to the extent we do those things, we make it harder and harder for our kids to get the education we need them to get. We need them to be in school. We need them to get back to learning. And every time we do something that interferes with that, we're doing all of Pennsylvania, a disservice. So that's where that comes from. I also want to get back to something else that you said. All of Pennsylvania has had a resurgence. That's why we're doing what we're doing right now. We were in a pretty good place. I mean, we were down to 300, 400 new cases a day. And as the secretary said, we're now at 800 to 900 cases a day. And we've been higher than that. There's a resurgence in the summer. And so it'd
be nice to see if they had all the facts about if the resurgence and the number of cases is higher due to the fact that they have more testing. But needless to say, in this conversation, we're talking about, does the governor have the authority to take over local control? No, they do not. Right? Local control's there. Can the local government abdicate their authority to the superintendent and then thereby to the governor? Oh, yeah. And you watch, they'll do it, right? Any chance they get. Here's Larry real quick.
As in the 2018-2019 budget, are actuals versus the fictitious $40 million budgets that were presented in the past, and even to the point of presenting the fictitious $40 million budget in January of 2019.
And I just want to remind everybody, guess who signs these things, right? There's the administration. But when you look at the budget, look who's signing this thing. How anywhere does it get fictitious? You know, I gotta go. But anyway, let's get back to sports here. Sorry. I had to do my little finance commercial there. All right, so here's the board meeting first. No charging extra dollars and fighting, and you'll save no appraisal needed. I mean, you're saving a lot of money talking about the.
Mr. Filer has agreed.
Shoal David.
Here it comes. New business.
I have 2. But if anybody else wants to go first, they should go first.
Floor, Mr. Bradley. Mr. Bradley, your floor.
Relax, yes. So I think that this board should give guidance to the community you know, answer to them and decide whether or not the PIAA or the governor will be the decision maker for sports. Are we going to listen to the governor, or are we going to listen to the PIAA, a independent contractor lobbyist? Now I'm going to pause that for a second. So, independent contractor lobbyist. There you go. PIAA Foundation. This is their 990 form. You can look this up, right? It's right online. You go down here. Here's the guys that make the money at the PIAA and how they're compensated, right? And it's through this form that you can identify these companies as lobbyists, as organizations, as private corporations. They're not a government entity. They don't have authority other than that you have volunteered to them to be part of their organization. And it's a good organization. We respect it. But when they don't work out the responsibilities, you got a problem. Here's the PSBA, same thing, right? They take in $9 million. Pennsylvania School Board Associations, right? They take in $9 million to give us our policies and rules, you know, and then we just give them the authority over us. We volunteer it, whereas the reality is we should be providing them to the stakeholders that we govern, government of, by, and for the people. Look, this guy's getting paid $241,000, right, in 2018, and $56,000 in extra compensation. Making decisions for you, your local government, right? And yes, it was extended to May of 2020. Then you got one for the teachers, right? Here's to advocate for quality public education and our members through collective action, right? Gross receipts, $75 million, right? Our district's broke, can't even pay $1 million for busing. All right, let's go back to this for a second. So here we are, we're talking about seeking public input, but now when you listen to it, here's how we're setting them up. Who are we going to listen to, PIAA or the governor, right? That was the question.
Mr. Bradley, what is your recommendation since you brought up the concern?
My recommendation is that as a government of, by, and for the people, we listen to the 66 people in this room and then also the people in the community, right? And let them speak and give us some guidance, because I think there's a difference of opinion between the two. I think that we also have an option number 3 that says we're the district. We have the authority to let our students volunteer and participate in sports if they so desire, and provide them with the benefit of all the advantages. I mean, it's a tremendous advantage to have. So now let's go down and find out what they actually did. Now this is going to be the athletic committee, and notice when they say the word "we decided," the question is, who's making this decision? It should be the people telling their government what to do, the government reviewing it to make sure it's in compliance with state and federal laws, and then creating a structure to get as much participation as possible for the least amount of funds. But let's listen to this for a second. I think I got it keyed up properly, and then I'll get out of here and let you guys argue it out, because ultimately it is the people that make these decisions in America.
So with only 2 events that we have the opportunity to play, it was decided and we would not pursue them.
So did you hear that? That's talking about middle school soccer. Since there's only 2 competition events, they decided. Someone decided. Did the board decide? Did the people get to vote on this? Did the board get to listen to those people and prior to making this decision? Hell no. Take back your authority. Do not, by any means, allow this local control to be abdicated to a bunch of rubber stamping, blind trusting board members that give it to other people, right? That basically become subordinates to the PIAA, to the governor, to the administration, to all. No, that's not how it works, right? This is government authority. Stakeholders have the input. It is the stakeholders' input, okay? Remember, business office, financial report, page 5. There you go. See? Board, and up here is stakeholders. Stakeholders tell us what to do, and as long as, granted, we should listen to these people. We're not trying not to say they don't. They probably have some input. They probably have some value. But if it's in their best interest, maybe you want to have a little check and balance. That's why you have a volunteer board. Okay, hopefully this was enough. Get the conversation started. Talk. Tell your government officials to be government officials, to listen to the people. Do a survey. Robocall, whatever you got to do. Get these kids in the extracurricular activities to participate to the best of their ability. That's our job. Organize that. We're volunteers. It's not hard to do. See you.